All right, it is 2:01. We're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. Oh, let me stay away from that. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, come on, y'all. I know it's 2 o'clock. I know it's the last session, but good afternoon. That's much better. Yes, we're talking about math. I'm excited. High quality mathematics instruction is why we're here right now. We're talking about the balance of conceptual and explicit instruction. What's that balance look like, right? So I know we only have an hour, so we're gonna get to as much as we can and just kind of get an idea of what we're talking about when we say high quality mathematics instruction. Just want to briefly introduce you to our team at Wayne Risa. We have 5 math consultants, really 6, but one is on loan to Mesa. Dr. Christy Hamby, Janine Owen, myself, I'm Sharon Ramsey, Don Chauvin, and David Swore. So these are the people in Wayne County that you want to connect with. If you are looking for some support, want a thought partner, these are the people you want to get in touch with. So before we really, let me go back one. Before we really jump into this, I want you to really think about mathematics instruction. What does that look like right now in the buildings that you're in? When you think about those K-5 space, I'm gonna give you like 2 minutes to just talk at your tables. What does mathematics instruction look like? From thinking about what the students are doing, thinking about what the teachers are doing, what does that look like in your buildings? If you're at a table by yourself, feel free to join someone else because there'll be multiple times to talk. Ideas or things you want to share? Yes, absolutely. Yes, thanks for sharing. Think about that. Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, thanks for sharing that. Hey, okay. All right, I'm sorry to cut your conversation short, but maybe can I have like 1 or 2 people maybe kind of share like what's some things that are happening in mathematics classrooms right now that you're noticing in that K-5 space? I'm moving around, so I'm just looking for 1 or 2 people. Oh, there we go, Carrie.
Some of the things that we're noticing are in classrooms where they're shifting towards more student talking, more students doing the work. So those are some noticings that we're having.
Thank you for lifting that. So when we think about these classroom spaces, who's doing the talking? Is it the teacher doing all the talking? Are the students doing most of the talking? And if either situation, what needs to change or what needs to shift or what's more impactful, right? So assume that for the Math Essentials to be brought to life across Michigan, right? The Michigan kids need to be thinking about these things. So I'm going to give you a moment to read those things that are on the screen. And I want you to think about what they mean to you. So as you're reading, I'll just kind of read them all out. Every adult in your system will have to unlearn and learn about mathematics teaching, learning, and leadership. We need to design fundamentally different professional learning systems. This is not work any school, district, or ISD can do on its own, right? So when we're thinking about the shifts that need to happen in mathematics, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like, these components are very important. One of the things that I know sometimes we hear as educators, especially from parents and some teachers that might be struggling to make that shift is, oh, I didn't learn it this way or I didn't do it this way, right? That's where that unlearning, those are some things we have to unlearn because we have to do what's best for the students that are in our classrooms, right? That's gonna mean that we have to do some fundamentally different professional learning, and it has to be systems of professional learning, right? And then, of course, we can't do it on our own. No one person, no one school, not one teacher can do this work on their own. It's gonna take a collective, right? So, have you ever wondered these things? Why you often hear that students don't know their facts? Why a large portion of our society will say that they're not a math person? Oh, I'm not good at math, right? They don't identify as that. And what instructional routines are effective in elementary classrooms, and how much time will it take to engage in them meaningfully, right? These are things that we wonder about often, right? Let me move on. One thing that I want to look at before we kind of get into the pre-K 5 practices are the value statements, because there are certain things that are fundamental to this work. I want you to just take a moment, and if you take your beautiful handout that you got this morning, it has all these things in here. If you go to the pre-K 5 tab, or early math, that first page has the values on there. And I want you to take a brief moment to kind of read through these 5 value statements and think about one of them in particular, whichever one resonates with you the most. And I want you to think about if your district, building, or teachers held this particular value, what would be the impact for students, right? So again, read through those values, identify one that resonates with you, and think about if my district, my building, my teachers held this value, what would be the impact for students? Once you're done, go ahead and discuss it at your tables. And whenever you're ready, you can start discussing at your table. All right, thank you for sharing. Do I have one person that may want to highlight what value they chose and what might be the impact for our students? Thank you.
I chose value number 3 about valuing mathematics as a broad, creative, and collaborative discipline for sense making and problem solving. Because I think if we could gain collaborative acceptance of the value, we could rebrand math from a computational thing to what it really is.
Wow, I really literally just had the same or similar conversation with another person about this exact same thing, because we really have to start shifting to this idea of problem solving, right? We have too many students that are checking out 5th, 6th grade. Too many students that are saying, I'm not a math person, I can't do math, I don't get this, and they're done, right? We think about what's the impact on their lives when that happens. So how do we change math so that it's a joyous experience, so that they want to be involved in the process, so they see how it's relevant to them outside of just the classroom or just solving these particular problems or finishing the worksheet that they have to do, right? That causes a shift. We have to think about what's going in front of students so that that shift can be made, so students can start to shift how they feel about that mathematics, right? So these practices, and unfortunately we don't have time to dig into each one individually, but we can talk about them collectively right now. So when we think about EIPs 1 through 3, we're really thinking about the overall design and general way of interacting within the learning environment. So we're thinking about the tinkering and making it a fun, playful experience. We're thinking about those setting norms, thinking about that equitable participation. How are all students being included in this mathematics space? EIP 4, intentionally and continually embedding formative assessment practices through observation and discussion. What questions are we asking students? How are we really getting them to show their thinking in the classroom explicitly? How are we assessing what they know? What are those things or ideas? Do we understand what formative assessment is? How are we collecting that information, and how are we using that information, right? 5 through 7 really focuses on the types of mathematical tasks as well as those instructional routines that need to happen to support deep and meaningful learning of mathematics. And then EIP 8, which is very important, productive and purposeful ways to engage children's families or caregivers as partners in the learning process. Students need to see themselves in the mathematics that they're doing. They need to see how it's connected to their outside lives, their experiences. We have to get parents and community members also involved in the learning. That's very important. Otherwise, it becomes an isolated thing. It becomes, oh, that's what I did in math class, versus, oh, I'm understanding math that's going to help me in the outside world. Or I can see how I'm doing math when I go to the grocery store, or when I'm cooking with my mom, or doing different things, though we're recognizing how mathematics comes up in all spaces, right? So when we think about this and we're talking about high quality instruction and how this looks into a framework of mathematics, a lot of you might have seen this document already. This document is a framework for ambitious mathematics instruction based off of research, right? So some key points in this, that we have this yellow portion, which is a number sense routine that's really focused on practice 6. It could be a number talk, it could be number corners, it could be different things that fit into this category, but there is a number sense routine where students are building that conceptual understanding of the mathematics in this space. And it should be a short routine. It should be 5 to 12 minutes, depending on the students that you have or what you put in that space, but it should be a short routine that's happening every day. The middle section really highlights practices 5 and 7, when we're thinking about a math task that really promotes reasoning. So this math task we do in 3 phases. There's a launch, there's an explore, and there's a summarize. Now, they're called different things in different programs and different frameworks, but it's really the same idea. How are you setting students up to engage with this problem without giving them a pathway to solve it, right? That's what happens in the launch. Making sure that students have access to the problem, making sure students understand what's going on in that space. In that explore phase, students have the opportunity to explore the mathematics. Start with what they know, get some ideas, tinker with some things, play around with some manipulatives, use what they know to start to solve this problem, working independently, working collaboratively with other students. The teacher is asking questions, doing some formative assessment, really thinking about asking questions that really focuses on how students understand the mathematics and thinking about moving that work forward, right? And then the last phase is that summarize phase. And this is where we can get some more explicit instruction towards the end, when we've gathered students' ideas and we see how they connect to one another, and also how they connect to the mathematical concepts that we really want them to be exploring with, right? So again, those connect with 5 and 7. And then throughout this process, which I already mentioned, practice 4 comes up because we're doing that formative assessment. And that kind of informs the purple space where we're doing the practice opportunities. But for the sake of today, we're really going to focus on that green section and really think about how we implement a task in mathematics. Before we go into that, I do want to take a moment to just dive into some of the resources that we were given today. So at your tables, you have a choice to read one of these 3 things. Multiple people can read the same thing at your table, but if you can kind of just divide it up so that someone at your table is reading one of the 3 things. Organizational practice number 3, and you can find all of these in your handy resource book. All of this is in here. Math Essential number 5, or Math Essential number 7. So again, at your tables, you can decide who wants to read which one of these practices. But take a moment to read through it and just have a discussion about what you notice in those. They're all in this book. So the first one is going to be behind the first tab, the school-wide, center-wide. The first one is going to be behind that tab, and the other ones are going to be in the Math Pre-K 5 tab. Essential Practices 5 and 7 will be behind the Math Pre-K 5 tab. And you can decide, like I said, decide at your table who's going to read which one. Whenever you're ready, you can start discussing the noticings at your tables. Just identify which practice that you read and then talk about what you noticed.
Okay, so what they're, how this could, we can do this, we can do that, we can model this, we can tailor our PD to be that, we can get in a classroom and showcase this, and hopefully teachers are grabbing onto those things, but really making it so that it is cognitively demanding on the students and not on the teachers. Our teachers are going home exhausted, and our students
So
are.
I kind of, I don't know if I should admit this, but I kind of stole a couple slides. I got into the Google Drive that was shared with me from the last math meeting. And I was like, wait a minute. I need everyone to see this. I have to go first because I have to leave an hour. And I thought, the one thing that teachers will do is listen when you say, Risa showed me this. You know, people, Risa said this. The research shows this.
Yes.
Here's a slide that didn't come from my back pocket. And so if you don't mind, I'm showing
Don't
it to our
mind at
entire
all.
staff.
Yeah, don't
in
mind at
about a
all.
minute.
Go right ahead. That's what it's for. Thanks for sharing. All right, let me kind of wrap up this great conversation that you all are having. So what might be some of the things, connections that you made? What was some of the conversation when you looked at these three different practices? What was some of the conversation that you had at your tables? I got to join in on a couple of really great conversations, so I would like to hear just a snippet from some other spaces. Was your hand up, Carrie? No? Oh. I was getting excited. I thought someone wanted to share. It's okay. I know I have one. I'm just looking. I taught middle school, so I can wait. I don't mind wait time. Just one person. Connections. Thank you, Rusty.
Mary and I were a group of two, and I had the opportunity to revisit Organizational Practice 3, which Melissa helped us think about this morning, and then Mary read Practice 7. We just made a lot of connections to the value statement that we chose earlier, which was Value 3, which talked about mathematics being creative and a broad discipline, which those words aren't normally talked about when we're talking about mathematics, that it's not a binary right or wrong. There's actually a space for some play in there. And so we made connections in Practice 7 and in Practice 3 to those ideas and how that might be a drastic change from what some people might be most comfortable with.
Thank you, Rusty. And I think that connects to the conversation that was happening at this table. It was more so focused around 5 when we were talking about that idea of those cognitively demanding tasks and things like that. What does that look like? How do we identify those things, especially when you're in a space where maybe you have a new curriculum that you're trying out, or teachers are overwhelmed and they don't have a chance to really think about identifying what those things might look like. You know, thinking about what professional learning opportunities need to happen, right? Because there has to be a shift in the mindset, right? Because sometimes teachers are so stuck on, okay, I got to get through this point and this, because the book says that we have to do that, and not really understanding the book is a resource, right? It's not the end all be all. We use it as a resource, and how does that really support this high quality mathematics instruction that we're talking about? Okay, so I know time is moving, and I got to get to the rest of this stuff. So, like I said, we're really going to be focusing on the green portion of our framework, which is focused around tasks. I'm going to show a couple of videos, but I want you to think about these norms for video and feedback. I'll just give you a brief moment to look at this. We have some videos from teachers across the state, thanks to Early Math. And just know that all the intentions are good, and keep focused on the observations about what students are getting out of the talk and the interaction. And consider feedback you might give through the lens of a coach. All right. So we're gonna be watching a video that talks about Takis, which I know a lot of us, these kids for some reason love these corn chips. I don't know why. So I want you to just briefly read through this and think about how you might solve this particular problem. What might be a way that you would solve this particular problem? And then think about a second way to solve it. There are 58 Nitro Takis on the table. There are also 36 Fuego Takis on the table. How many Takis are on the table? All right, does everyone have a solution in their mind? Okay, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna ask this, and I'm gonna ask y'all to help me out a little bit, okay? Can I have one person tell me how they thought about solving this problem? One take. See, look at that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so I thought about it as 60 plus 40. And then I took away from 100 the 2 and the 4. So I knew I had to take away 6, and that gave me 94.
94. So Think about more of a compensation type of method, right? Okay. Anyone want to? Oh, see, look, we get started and now we get some hands going. I like it. I like it. Here we go.
I did 50 plus 30 is 80, and 8 plus 6, and put them together and got 94.
Kind of decompose those numbers. Awesome. Right, break it down, right? And there are other ways that students might engage in solving this problem, right? But if we as teachers tell them how to do it this way, then we lose the creativity, we lose the curiosity in the problem, right? So I'm going to show you a video. And as this video is playing, hold on. Well, I'll let you watch the video first and then we'll have some conversation.
And I do have a story problem for you. And it is a story problem about Takis. So up on the board, we got our Takis. Okay. There are nitro Takis on the table. There are also fuego Takis on the table. How many Takis are on the table? So what's happening in this story? What is happening? Daisy. It's about Takis. What's going on with our Takis? Rosie.
That some of them are eating them. They're probably eating them.
Someone might be eating them. Is there any eating them in our story?
No.
No. So maybe they're going to eat them, but they're not yet.
It's Addie.
So Trey, what do you see happening?
I see happening right now is there's some Takis on the table and some nitro Takis on the table. But
Okay.
we don't know how many.
Okay. So what are they asking us to find out? Ivana.
How much Takis are on the table?
So how many Takis are on the table? At your desk, I do have papers for you. I've got the same page. On the first line, I'm going to have you write 58. The second line, I'm going to have you write 36. Okay, so there are 58 nitro Takis on the table. There are also 36 fuego Takis on the table. So how many are on the table? If you look on the bottom,
There's space.
there's space.
So you can show your work.
So you can show your work. What ways can we go ahead and show our work? Ivana,
Number line.
a number line,
Number block.
number blocks. Trey, do you have a different strategy we haven't talked about?
Is the one that we just did like a minute ago.
Oh, like mental math strategies and write your thinking as you do the mental math? Okay, excellent. So boys and girls, I'm going to have you walk very carefully and get started.
All right, at your table, just have a discussion about these two questions. What does the teacher do to prepare the students to engage in the task? And what is the expectations of the students in this classroom? All right. Thank you for engaging in this. And you know what? I'm not even going to ask you all. I'm not even going to ask. So don't get nervous. I'm not going to ask. But I hope that some of the things that came up in your conversation were when she presented that problem, there were no numbers in there, right? Hope you all noticed that. Why is that important? When she did that, the focus goes away from, oh, let me solve this problem, right? The focus now turns into, what is this problem really about? What is this problem asking me to do? Because what happens when we give our students word problems with some numbers already in them in a piece of paper? Right, hands go up or they start just doing something with numbers, right? They look at the I can statement. Oh, the I can statement says multiply. I'm going to multiply because I already know what we're doing because the I can statement told me, right? But this gives me a moment to really engage in what is actually happening with this problem before I have any numbers to work with, right? Did the teacher set up, oh, okay, I want you to set up an algorithm and put the numbers on top of each other and you add the ones? Did the teacher do that? No, she did not tell them how to solve that. She left it open for them to come up with their own ideas. The students already knew. You got space below your problem, what you're gonna, oh, that's for us to show our work. That's for us to show our strategies, right? There was excitement. They were happy to be in that math space. They were ready to get started with this task, right? What do we feel like the expectations for the students are in this classroom? To listen, to explore with the problem, to be mathematicians in this space, right? So this is what we did, or what we think about when we talk about launching a task. What does that really mean, right? Getting students ready to engage with the mathematics, right? So now we're gonna look at the explore and the summarize. We're gonna start with the explore phase, and let me see if I can make this larger.
Plus 3 is 8. But this is 10, so it will equal 80. So I know 6 got 2 3s, or just a 5 and a 1. So if I can use those two to my strategy, I might get the answer. And 8 is 2 4s, or 5 and a 3. So I need to figure out something to do with those two.
Hi, hon. What are you doing? You're doing a number line? Okay, so what number did you start with? Is that what the number would be if you're jumping to 10? Okay, and your jumps look great. You got your 3 10s and your 6 1s there. So let's make sure right here we're skip counting correctly. So 58 plus 10 is? Do you want to get out your chart to help you? Okay, why don't you get out your chart real quickly to help you? So we're at 58. Can you jump 10 more on your chart? Find 58 for me. Okay, where's 10 more?
$69.
Ooh, show me how you did that. So you're at 58. How did you get, why did you decide it was 69?
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Uh-huh. So what should our next number be?
68.
Okay, can you fix that right there? So what do you think the next one would be?
78.
78, very good. Thank you for working so hard on this. And then if we do another jump of 10, what is it going to be? 88, very good. Can you write 88?
I decided just to do a number line, start off with 1. So that got me to 60. Now I jumped to 5, that got me 65.
Okay.
I jumped to 10, that got me 75, and I jumped to another 10. That got me to 85.
Okay.
then I jumped another 5 to get me to 90.
Okay,
Now I'm gonna jump 4 ones.
okay.
Because
So why did you decide to mix up ones here and ones there?
I decided to do that because if I did a lot of ones, I would just take forever.
Okay,
So, and where I got the 4 that I'm gonna add from, it's from the 6.
okay.
Because I took 2 away from 6 to go to the 8.
So you got 4 from the 6 there, and then the other 2 to the 6 is right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and finish that up, and then you can come meet me on the carpet.
All right, at your tables, go ahead and discuss what you noticed. What did you notice about the teachers? What did you notice about the students? And then we'll watch that summarize phase. All right. I know time is getting away from us, so I want to bring us back for a quick moment. During this explore phase, we noticed that the students were working independently, and some may have been collaborating with other students and having conversation. The students were approached the problem in a way that made sense to them. We saw different strategies, right? We saw some number lines. We saw some bare number problems. We saw students using a number chart to kind of solve this. What did we notice about what the teacher was doing, though? What do we notice about that? She was probing. She had them check their work. She did not tell them you're right or you're wrong. She asked questions, right? Questions that were focused on what the student was doing, on the student's work, not where she wanted them to go, right? She focused on where they were and tried to support them through that learning process, right? So that's very important to think about the types of questions teachers are asking students, right? If we're guiding them towards, let's get them to the algorithm or let's do this, we're not honoring where they are and what they understand in the mathematics. We got to get there at some point, but they have to have that conceptual understanding before we start getting them into that procedural space, right? All right, so we're going to take a look at this summarize phase, and this is the last phase of this process, and we'll see what happens.
Boys and girls, when you went back to your seat and work on your Taki problem, what answer did you get? Camilla, I saw you working really hard back there. What answer did you get?
94.
94. Did somebody get a different answer? What did you get? 73. Did somebody get a different answer? You got 94, so you agree? Okay. Okay, would you like to explain one way that you did it? Okay,
I put 5 tenths
you drew 5 tens
and 3 tenths.
and 3 tens.
And I add 8 ones and 6 ones.
8 ones. And then 6 ones.
And I saw a 10 in there.
Okay. You saw a 10, and then did you circle it?
Yep.
Okay, I'll circle it just like you then.
And there was 4 more. That's
So-
how I got. And I counted the 10s and I counted the 4s. We got 94.
Okay, she counted the 10s and the 4s. Can everyone count the 10s with me?
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90.
And then we have our 4. 91, 92, 93.
94.
Can somebody tell me a different way they did it? Eurelies.
I took 50 plus 30
You said you took 50 plus 30
equals 80
equals 80.
plus 6 equals 14.
8 plus 6 equals
14.
14.
So 10 and 14, I added it to 80.
Okay, and what'd you get?
90. I did 90 plus 40 plus 94.
So you did 90 plus 4 equals 94. Okay, did somebody do it a different way?
I did the same but slower.
Dylan, go ahead.
Is there a number line?
You did number line. I know Camilla, who's next to you, had her hand up. She did a number line too. She was working so hard. And I wonder if your number line looks the same as hers. What did you do first?
I start with 58
You start with 58. And why did you start with 58?
because the bigger number.
Bigger number, okay. And then what did you do?
Then I added plus 10.
You added
Another 10.
a 10.
Then I added another 10.
So then you got 58,
68,
68,
78,
78,
88.
88.
Then I added plus 2.
You added 2. Where did you get 2 from? The 6. And what'd you get?
90. Then I added 4 more.
And then you added 4 more, and you got 94. Why did you decide to add the 2 and the 4?
To get 90.
To make it a 90, to make it a friendly number. Now, Camilla, I know you had your hand and you wanted to share your number line. Does your number line look like Dylan's number line? No. What's different about yours?
I have 6 ones.
She did 6 ones right here. So she did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Camilla, did you get the same answer by doing 6 ones? You did get the same answer. So what was the answer, Camilla and Dylan?
94.
94. Did we have lots of different ways here?
Yes!
Did we all get the same answer? Yes.
All right. Let me. All right. So again, during this summer.
Boys and girls, when you went back to your seat.
Okay, there we go. All right, again, so during this summarize phase, the teacher honored the students' work, honored how they thought about the mathematics, accepted the different responses, right? Didn't really shy away from the wrong, someone did come up with a different or incorrect answer, but it was still taken. And normally we have some time to like defend or think about, self-correct or maybe think about, other ways to address that. I'm not sure, the video doesn't show us everything, but We have a chance to compare responses, compare strategies, and really, if necessary, think about building in some extra instruction if that's something that's necessary after after you look at this different students' representations. So this process is what we think about when we're talking about implementing a math task, right? We had the launch, we had that explore, and we had that summarize. Are there any questions about the process? No questions. I want to think about, I'm just thinking about time. We kind of talked about, we saw the different ways that, that the students actually engage with the problem, but I know time is, okay, don't have time for that. So I want you to take a moment to read a couple of this quote that's on the board. What does this mean and why does it matter? At your tables, I know you don't have a lot of time. 30 seconds. What does it mean and why does it matter? Go ahead and discuss at your tables. All right, quick little conversation, but we're really talking about how important it is for that mathematical notation and those concepts to both be explicit in instruction, right? We understand procedures are important, but students need to have that conceptual understanding as well. We can't have one without the other. We can't just jump straight to procedures without doing some conceptual understanding, because then we get students that get lost. We have students that can, I was one of them. You show me how to do it, I can follow those steps, and I'm gonna be okay. But not every student think like that. Not every student works like that. And I realized I didn't really know math until I started teaching it. I was really good at learning how to memorize procedures. Really good at it, right? But we want critical thinkers. We want innovators. We want problem solvers, right? All right. I'm gonna go through this because we're running out of time. I'm sorry. Hold on, I think, okay. So one thing that comes up when we talked about those resources, right? Our resources gives us a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different activities, and we have to really be intentional about thinking about which of those opportunities are gonna give students an experience of a math task. Which one of these opportunities provide maybe a relevant context with cognitively demanding content that we may have to modify just a little bit, or we may be able to give it to them the way that it is, but where in our resource can we find these types of problems, right? They're there, but our resources, our textbook company, they're in the business of making money. They're gonna put all this stuff in there, and sometimes we have to go through and figure out what is it that we wanna put in front of students, right? But like I said, the information is there. We don't always have to go to outside resources. It's really about how we implement the things that we put in front of our students, right? The cognitively demanding tasks they're in our resources. We can find them in there. We just have to think about how they're being introduced and how they're being implemented in those classroom spaces. All right, so it is 2:58, and I want you to kind of think about these surprising facts that come up. Surprising importance of early math. It predicts later reading achievement even better than early reading skills. That's good to know. It increases oral language abilities, and it helps children develop stronger executive functioning skills. So mathematics is very important, right? Reasoning is very important. Having students engaging in these cognitively demanding tasks and making these shifts in mathematics is really important. If we have children that are self-identifying as not a math person, we're missing a great opportunity, right? So I'm just going to give you some resources. The early math videos are available. So the ones that you saw here are available to you all on this site. There's a lot of different videos and options there for you. You will have access to these slides. So please check out those different resources. There are modules that are available as well. So you want to go to EduPaths, click on the catalog, select Mesa. There are 10 options that are currently available for you. So there's a lot of resources out there to help you. Again, we have our mathematics team that's here to support you as well. And I had to throw in this quick little plug for some work, because we're talking about being culturally responsive. We're talking about early mathematics. We're talking about mathematics in general. We want students to be engaged in work in mathematics that is relevant, that makes them feel like they belong in those spaces. So teaching in a culturally responsive way is very important. We have a session, our last session, coming up on March 12th. It is a free virtual session, so if you're available, please register and join. There's a QR code here. Registration is open, and also you'll get the slides, and it's linked in there as well. So definitely want to take that. Again, this is our wonderful team. Our email addresses and contact information is on the board. So if you just need a thought partner or have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to answer any questions. If you have a moment, if there are still some sticky notes on the table, if you just want to just jot us like a little note related to mathematics, if you have like questions or things that you're wondering about, because we use that feedback to kind of cater some of our learning for you all. So if you have a moment to just jot down a few things for us, some things you might be wondering about, that will be great. Other than that, these are some resources that we're leaning into this year. So really helpful resources, children's mathematics and figuring out and assessing fluency. So those are also available and great resources. Feedback, again, this is a QR code. So if you want to snap that and give us some more QR code. I know I'm speeding through it because I know it's time to go. But again, thank you all so much for your time today. We appreciate you and your engagement, and we look forward to working with you all in the future. Thank you so much. Sketch form is already also up here. If you wanted to get sketches, you can scan the QR code.